This is your USMNT Abroad weekend update from December 15th to December 17th of 2023. Hi, if you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Tactical Manager TV, and welcome to the US Men's National Team Abroad series, where every single Monday we update you on how the Yanks did abroad over the weekend. Now, before we even start the episode, I want to ask for your help very quickly. And it's not really to hit the like button in the video, that you should have already done. What I want to ask you is the following. This week, we will do a video recapping the entire year for the US Men's National Team, the year of 2023. Obviously, I know I need to have Greg Berhalter's rehiring, the Nations League trophy, the friendlies, the Gio Berhalter saga, and much more. But I want to ask you, let me know which was your favorite US Men's National Team moment of 2023, and which one was your least favorite, and tell me why it was the rehiring of Greg Berhalter. Okay, and this video is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, but more on that later. Drop a like before we start. Let's play the intro, and let's start with the updates. As always, we start with the top 5 leagues in Europe. The first one being the English Premier League. So let's go to England and talk about Matt Turner from Nottingham Forest. On Friday, Matt Turner started and played the full 90 minutes for Nottingham Forest during their 2-0 loss to Tottenham. So he conceded a goal to Richarlison, which that alone is bad enough. I mean, just my humble opinion, conceding a goal to Richarlison, or Richarlison, that's how you say it in Portuguese, it's not good, man. It's just not good enough. But then there's also the second goal, where he messed up with his feet while trying to play out of the back. And then on top of that, he pulled his best impression of Edward Lettuce Hands, by allowing Tottenham to score. It just wasn't good. Performances like this will get Matt Turner back on the bench. This wasn't good enough. And our current goalkeeping situation for the US Men's National Team is as follows. Matt Turner, our number 1, is in awful form. Ethan Horvath never plays. Zach Steffen is injured, never plays, and also was in poor form before getting injured, and probably will be back in MLS soon. Gabriel Sonina, very talented, very promising, but far from ready. Chris Brady, also very promising, very talented, but far from ready. Patrick Schulte, extremely talented, but I'm also not sure about his current level. He's also very young. He's around 22. He just won MLS Cup with the Columbus Crew. The other option is Roman Celentano from FC Cincinnati. He's also very talented, but I'm also not sure about his current level. Last but not least, we have Drake Callender. He's an okay backup in my opinion, which, to make things short, it just ain't good. But a lot of these options that I mentioned are very young. They're 22, 20. So we shall remain hopeful that they will develop into good options in the future, hopefully the near future. And then Matt Turner will turn things around, get his confidence back up, and, be in good form once again. But in the meantime, things are not looking very good in terms of goalkeepers for the US Men's National Team. But let's move on from the goalkeepers and go to a defender that plays in the Premier League, and his name is Chris Richards from Crystal Palace. And on Saturday, Richards started and played the full 90 minutes for Crystal Palace during their 2-2 draw with Manchester City. And what a massive result this was. No, seriously, Chris Richards went the full 90 minutes. Crystal Palace was down 2-0, and they pulled a late draw against Manchester City. This is a tremendous result. And I will also add this, they were playing away against Manchester City. Richards played most of the match as a defensive midfielder. Crystal Palace barely had the ball, so obviously he didn't get a lot of touches and wasn't very busy in possession. He mainly did a lot of defending, which is what you would expect from a Crystal Palace player when facing Manchester City. He was not at fault for any of the goals, so good for Richards, as his minutes continue to trend up in the English Premier League a little bit more as a midfielder, but hopefully he'll be back to being a center back very soon, because that's his best position. Next up, we have Austin Trusty from Sheffield United. On Saturday, Trusty started and played the full 90 minutes for Sheffield United during their 2-0 loss to Chelsea in the English Premier League. Let me ask you a question here in regard to this game. Why does it seem like Chelsea fans, or the loud portion of the Chelsea fans, are far more patient with the Ukrainian Nick Carter when compared to how they were with Christian Pulisic? No, seriously, I'm not joking. I understand that many Chelsea fans are very critical of Mudryk because he has been awful, and personally I think he is not a very good player. But why is the loud portion, the ones with a big following, so patient when it comes to Mudryk? And I remember when I said the same about Kai Havertz and Mason Mount. Now look at those two and how they're doing, while Pulisic is doing pretty well for Milan. That's all I'll say. We'll get to Pulisic later. Now let's talk about the Americans that play for Fulham, A-Rob and Tim Ream. On Saturday, A-Rob started and played the full 90 minutes for Fulham during their 3-0 loss to Newcastle in the English Premier League. So they pretty much lost, Fulham pretty much lost because of the CONCACAF players. First, Raul Jimenez got a red card for hitting a Newcastle player in the face with his ass. He jumped and turned his ass to hit the player in the face. It was a very weird ass challenge. No pun intended. And that was just a very, very bad dad joke right there, even though I'm not a dad. But I do a lot, or at least I say a lot of dad jokes. And they're terrible. Unfortunately, A-Rob also has a lot of blame on this loss. Let's start with the first goal. It was just a very poor attempt from A-Rob to win a 50-50 challenge where he probably should have just cleared it, but he didn't. And that placed the Newcastle forward in a good position to score, which he did. He scored the first goal for Newcastle. Now, the second goal from Newcastle was scored by Miguel Almiron, which MLS fans should remember him from Atlanta United. And it was also weird. A-Rob probably should have gone for the clearance. He didn't. He probably thought the goalkeeper was going to get it. I don't know. The goalkeeper didn't get it. That led to a wide open net for Almiron to score. I just want to make one thing clear. A-Rob didn't have a terrible match if you watch the full 90 minutes. He just made some crucial mistakes that obviously were part of Fulham's loss. And I do want to say that he was coming off a series of outstanding performances, A-Rob, so he should bounce back in the next match very easily. Now, Tim Ream did not make the bench once again. I believe he's dealing with a minor injury. I'll confirm that on next week's episode. It's very hard to find information of what's going on with Tim Ream at the moment, but I doubt he has been pretty much excluded from the squad. Yeah, if Tim Ream was benched, he would at least be making the bench. So I think there might be some type of minor injury with him that they're just not reporting for whatever reason. Tyler Adams and Luca Coleocho, nothing to say there. They're injured and out for a few months. They should be back around March or April if they are back this season. Now let's leave England and go to Italy and talk about the Americans that play in the Serie A. So why don't we start the ones that play for Milan, and they are Christian Pulisic and Yunus Musa. On Sunday, Pulisic started and played the full 90 minutes for Milan during their 3-0 win over Monza in the Serie A. Yunus Musa was not available due to muscle fatigue. And for this match, I woke up at 6:30 a.m. on Sunday to watch it. Yes, I know, a lot of you wake up early anyway, and depending on where you are, this match wasn't at 6:30 a.m., it was at 3:30 a.m. But to me, waking up at 6:30 a.m. on a Sunday is a struggle. I wake up early, usually around 8, but 6:30 is a little bit too early, but that's what I call dedication. I woke up and I watched this match. So how did Christian Pulisic do? Milan pulled a 3-0 win, and Christian Pulisic had a fantastic performance. I thought he was very good. He helped set up his teammates, he was able to draw a yellow card, was taking on defenders, and got credited for an assist. Or shall I say, assist, because he passed the ball to Reinders, and Reinders just kind of went by 3 or 4 defenders and, finished the score. Pulisic didn't really play a role. It still counts as an assist, but I just want to add that context. I'm not downplaying his performance or the assist by any means, but I think it's important to say there's different types of assists, and that one was more of an assist, but still, he got credit for it. Christian Pulisic also hit the crossbar with a beautiful left-footed curl shot that was truly a beauty. And also what impressed me in this match was how good he was in terms of his defensive work. He did a fantastic job tracking back, and that was a big surprise from my end at least. It was a strong performance, and I know once again it sounded like I was trying to take away the credit of his assist, but I was just adding context to it. I do want to add that he did have a wonderful cross to Giroud that probably should have been an assist, but the Frenchman or the French center forward missed the target. So once again, fantastic performance from Christian Pulisic. He was very good for Milan once again, and I'm just kind of happy he didn't listen to Landon Donovan or take that advice of going to MLS. I don't think Pulisic ever considered that because, as you can see, he's thriving in a much better league than Major League Soccer, so it wouldn't really make sense for him to go. I think Donovan said the Galaxy at the time. Pulisic made the right decision of going to Milan. It was a wonderful decision, and he's doing a great job so far in Italy. Next up, we have the Americans that play for Juventus, and they are Weston McKennie and Tim Weah. And we have good news here. Tim Weah is back from injury. On Friday, McKennie started and played the full 90 minutes for Juventus during their 1-1 draw with Genoa. Tim Weah was back from injury and was subbed in the 68th minute. Dang it, that's like 1 minute short of minute 69. Nice. So the bad news here is not really about the Americans, it's just that Juventus dropped some crucial points for the title race. The good news is Weston McKennie played well again. He has been extremely reliable for them this season and is playing the role perfectly for Juventus that Allegri wants him to do. He is crucial for them from a tactical standpoint, especially defensively. And boy, does he cover a lot of ground. The other good news here is that Tim Weah is back. He looked a bit rusty, which is totally understandable. He was out for a full month, but Weah is back, and that is great news for the United States men's national team. Okay, now before we continue, let's hear a quick word from our sponsor, Underdog Fantasy. The link is on the description and the promo code in case you want to play the game. I'll be back in a minute. And thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for sponsoring Tactical Manager TV. Underdog Fantasy is a fun game to play prior to any soccer match, or basketball, or football as well, but we don't talk about those two in Tactical Manager TV. Sometimes basketball during live watch-alongs. I have been playing Underdog Fantasy for over a year now. You can download the app by using the link on the description of this video, and you can also use the promo code TMTV. And Underdog will be matching your first deposit for up to $100. And in the process, you'll be helping the channel avoid bankruptcy. The game I mainly play is called Pick'em. You just click on it, scroll to the soccer section, and pick a player for a specific match and select the stats that you believe will be lower or higher. It's very easy to play, but be smart about your picks because it's not easy to win. I'll be playing some Underdog Fantasy during some match live streams or match live watch-alongs, so stay tuned for that, as I will be forced to cheer for a player or root against him. Now, I am a professional hater, so I'll probably be rooting for the player's downfall. Once again, don't forget to use the promo code TMTV and use the link on the description of this video. Thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for sponsoring the channel. Okay, you're back. Now let's go to the Americans that play in the Bundesliga in Germany. Why don't we start with Gio Reyna from Borussia Dortmund. On Saturday, Gio Reyna started off the bench and was subbed in the 58th minute for Dortmund during their 1-1 draw with Augsburg, so Terzic decided to give him minutes. These inconsistent minutes make it tough for the player to catch any momentum. But regardless of that, let's talk about Gio Reyna's performance. I personally thought Reyna was fine, nothing spectacular, but fine. He showed a lot of composure on the ball, was very ball safe. He might have lost the ball once in those entire 30 to 35 minutes that he played, and maybe he got one pass wrong. So he's very ball safe, which, you know, I prefer when he takes a bit more risks, but he was playing very deep, essentially as an 8, but like a deep-lying playmaker, so it made sense to why he was choosing to play a bit safer for this specific match because of the role that Terzic probably wanted him to play. He did also hit a powerful strike on target with a minute left in the match, but unfortunately it was right on the goalkeeper and it was saved. It would have been a game winner for Borussia Dortmund. He would have saved them and gotten the 3 points, but he didn't. You would think performances like this would give him more minutes next week, but you just never know with Terzic. Like, Gio Reyna can score a game winner for him one week, and then the following weekend will get 0 minutes. You never know. He needs a move, and I do have something to tell you about that. So I will say this, there have been multiple reports this past week claiming that Gio Reyna is getting a new agent as he is seeking a loan this winter to get more consistent minutes. So he might be on the move sooner rather than later. Stay tuned for that, and hopefully he does get a loan this January. Fingers crossed. Next up, we have Brenden Aaronson from Union Berlin. On Saturday, Aaronson started off the bench and was subbed in the 75th minute for Union Berlin during their 3-0 loss to Bochum. There were also rumors going around that Union Berlin might terminate his loan, which means he'll be back with Leeds, which I doubt Leeds wants him back. So we'll see. I think it's more likely that Brenden Aaronson would head to MLS than to Leeds at this point. But ideally, I would hope he would go to a place like the Netherlands or maybe the Belgium League, something like that. But between Leeds and MLS, I feel like he has higher odds of playing MLS at this point. Next up, we have John Brooks from Hoffenheim. On Saturday, Brooks started and played the full 90 minutes for Hoffenheim during their 3-1 loss to RB Leipzig. Still in the Bundesliga, we have Joe Scally and Pifak from Borussia, not Dortmund. On Friday, Scally started and played the full 90 minutes for Gladbach during their 2-2 draw with Werder Bremen. Pifak was not available due to injury, and I'll say this, I did not watch this match, I wasn't able to watch it, but I heard from sources that I very much trust that Scally did not play that well. He was a bit shaky this match. The Gladbach defense in general was a bit shaky, including Joe Scally. because as you may know, lately he has been a center back for Gladbach instead of a right back, in a back three, of course. Next up, we have Kevin Paredes from Wolfsburg. On Saturday, Paredes started off the bench and was subbed in the 87th minute for Wolfsburg during their 1-0 win over Darmstadt in the Bundesliga. The other young player that I was going to report on would have been Paxton Aronson, but he didn't even make the bench for Eintracht Frankfurt this weekend, so I have nothing to say there. I tried to look up if he's injured or something. I didn't find any injury reports, so it looks like the coach from Eintracht Frankfurt just chose to not even put Paxton Aronson on the bench. So skipping Paxton, let's go to Leonard Maloney from Heidenheim. On Saturday, Maloney started and pretty much played the full 90 minutes for Heidenheim as he was subbed out at added time during their 1-0 win over Mainz. Heidenheim is actually looking good so far in terms of avoiding relegation. They are currently 7 points clear of the relegation zone. To leave Germany and go to Spain, let's talk about the Americans in La Liga, which right now it's just Luca de la Torre, but then in January we'll have Luca de la Torre from Celta de Vigo and Johnny Cardoso from Real Betis. So let's talk about Luca from Celta de Vigo. On Saturday, Luca de la Torre started off the bench and was subbed in the 72nd minute for Celta de Vigo during their 1-0 win over Granada, a very important win. And you know what else is important? If you made it this far in the video, to hit the like button. It's like super important, totally important. Like you can't go on with your day without doing so. Time to go to France and report on Florentin Balogun that plays for Monaco. On Friday, Balogun started and played the full 90 minutes for Monaco during their 1-0 loss to Lyon. And before this match, Lyon was actually in last place in Liga in the French league. And I know historically Olympique Lyonnais is actually a good team. And on paper, this team is actually not that bad, but they're terrible this season. And for a team like Monaco that's like trying to challenge PSG for the title, which they won't, by the way, they're not going to win the French league. PSG will take it. This is a terrible loss. But let's talk about what matters. How did Florentin Balogun do? And here's the thing. He got no goals and no assists. Obviously, right, they lost 1-0. He did have a few opportunities to score. He also did create some chances. The eye test and the stats back that. He had a 0.52 XG, so he created a few chances, which isn't bad. He also had a 0.62 expected assist, which is also not bad. So statistically speaking, he was well involved, creating chances and looking dangerous, but apparently not enough for a goal or an assist, which he didn't get it anyway. And I don't know, man, I watched the game and it seemed like one of those matches where if he got a goal or an assist, everyone would be saying that he got a good performance. But since he didn't, many will say he didn't have a good performance. If that makes any sense, that happens a lot to center forwards. Sometimes they do absolutely nothing all match and then they score one goal and all of a sudden everyone's saying, oh, they played so well. I think there's, that gray area in between where a player can still play well, a center forward, without getting a goal or an assist. And Balogun was a confusing performance in my opinion. I honestly don't know how to rate his performance for this specific match, so I will plead the fifth on this one. Yeah, I'm just not going to rate his performance. Before we leave France, also in Liga, Emmanuel Sabi scored a brace for Le Havre. Wait. Who? Did what? Where? Emmanuel Sabi got a brace in the French league. And one of the goals he scored was a golazo. That was definitely not expected. I was not expecting to report on Emmanuel Sabi scoring a brace. Congratulations. That was actually quite impressive. Next up, we have the Americans that play in the Netherlands in the Eredivisie. So we're going to start with the ones that play for PSV and AZ Alkmaar because they clashed over the weekend. So the PSV ones would be Ricardo Pepi, Serginho Dest, and Malik Tillman. Now AZ Alkmaar would be Jordi Mihailovic. On Sunday, Malik Tillman and Dest both started for PSV during their 4-0 win over AZ Alkmaar. Dest went the full 90 minutes while Malik Tillman was subbed out at the 69th minute. Nice. And Pepi was subbed in the 69th minute as well. Nice. Again. Mihailovic started for AZ Alkmaar but was subbed out at the 36th minute due to the entire team struggling and being down 3-0 early in the game. The coach took action and made three early substitutions, and Mihailovic was one of the early victims. But that said, how did the Americans from PSV perform? The short answer to that is they were great. Simply fantastic. But let's go into details. Malik Tillman managed to have an overall great performance while also being crucial. He created multiple goal-scoring opportunities, was able to draw a penalty kick for PSV, which was the first goal they scored in this match, and gave Serginho Dest an assist for his goal. Yes, Dest scored. And it was actually a very nice goal. For that specific goal, Malik Tillman was able to create space while under pressure in the midfield. After that, he put a wonderful through ball to Serginho Dest, which led eventually to a left-footed strike from the American fullback to score PSV's third goal. Dest was also rock solid defensively and highly involved on offense. Dest played mainly as a left back, or pretty much as a left back the entire match, and Malik Tillman played mostly as a left winger. He would tuck in inside quite a bit. The assist that he got was when he was playing central during a moment in transition, but he mainly played as a left winger. Ricardo Pepi came onto the game when it was pretty much already settled, and he did fine. He had some good layoffs, some good combination plays, hit a nice shot on target with his left foot late in the game. He did well in the limited minutes that he had. But seriously, let's talk about PSV here for a second, because this team is just completely running over every single team in the Eredivisie this season, and they made it to the Champions League round of 16. Right now, they have 16 wins in 16 matches and a goal differential of over 3+ per game in the Dutch league. It's simply unreal. Like, literally, they have won all 16 matches in the goal differential. They literally beat the opponents on average by 3 goals or more. Complete dominance. Malik Tillman, Serginho Dest, Ricardo Pepi, and Ernie Stewart are all doing a great job in representing the Americans abroad at PSV. Incredible work, and they deserve a lot of praise. Still in the Netherlands, we have Taylor Booth from Utrecht that has been struggling quite a bit this season, unfortunately. On Saturday, Taylor Booth started off the bench and was subbed in the 63rd minute during their 1-1 draw with RKC in the Eredivisie. Now his brother Zach got an assist while playing for Volendam for another match in the Eredivisie. I thought that was worth reporting, and I actually think Zach Booth, Taylor Booth's younger brother, has an assist this season, which I just reported, and I don't think Taylor has any, which definitely was not expected when the season started. I mean, we all had high expectations for Taylor Booth this season, but it has been fairly disappointing with a mix of bad performances and injuries, while Zach seems to be somewhat on a rise. But I'll say one thing. I haven't really watched Zach Booth play, so I don't have a legit opinion on that. Now we're going to head to the UK, or to Great Britain, whatever. We're going to talk about the players in England and Scotland, but not the Premier League, but the EFL Championship. I was going to talk about Josh Sargent from Norwich, but he's still injured. However, he's expected to be back in the next week. So we'll see if he plays next week, and should be at least on the bench. He's already training. So let's go talk about Cameron Carter-Vickers that plays in Scotland for Celtic. On Saturday, Carter-Vickers started and played the full 90 minutes for Celtic during their 2-0 loss to Hearts in Scotland. And listen, this is a bad loss. Rangers are catching up, man, and Celtic might actually not win the Scottish Premiership this season. I mean, they still lead the league, we'll see, but Rangers are catching up. Now, I'm going to skip on Belgium this weekend. I don't think it's worth reporting, but maybe on the Christmas episode next week, I'll do it. But let's quickly go to the Italian second division, the Serie B, just to report on one player, Christopher Lund, because he has been called up to the US men's national team lately quite a bit, so we might as well check in on how he's doing. And Christopher Lund plays for Palermo in the Italian second division, and since he's been getting called up by Greg, here's the update. On Saturday, Christopher Lund started and played 76 minutes for Palermo during their 3-2 win over Pisa in the Serie B. Palermo is currently in 7th place, just 3 points away from the promotion zone. Now, the other Americans that play for Venezia, which are Tanner Tessman and Busio, they sit in 2nd place in the league, and at the moment, they would get promoted to the Serie A. Last but not least, we have an American that does not play in Europe, but he plays abroad. He plays in Mexico, and that is Alejandro Zendejas from Club America. On Sunday, Zendejas started and played 76 minutes for Club America in the Liga MX final against Tigres. They managed to win this one in extra time, and Club America, along with Alejandro Zendejas, are the 2023 Liga MX Apertura champions. So congratulations to Zendejas. Right, everyone, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to drop a like before you go. Thank you, Underdog, for sponsoring this video, and don't forget, this week we will release a full US Men's National Team 2023 recap, so don't forget to put in the comment section your favorite moment of this year for the US Men's National Team. I want to thank you all very much for watching, and have a great day.